Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive right in and talk about how building a solid structural blueprint can actually save you from the dreaded directionless manuscript. If you're a writer, you know this feeling all too well, right? An idea sparks, you sit down, you start furiously typing, and then, suddenly, hundreds of pages later, you look up and realize you are completely lost in the narrative woods. Well, today, we are going to fix that. We're going to talk about how to architect your story before you write a single chapter.
To get us there, we're going to walk through 5 essential steps today. First up, the writer's trap. Next, we'll look at story versus situation. Then, we'll break down the anatomy of a premise, map out character wants and needs, and finally, we'll test your blueprint.
All right, Section 1, the writer's trap, avoiding the rambling draft. Let's talk about the painful problem basically every writer faces at some point, writing by the seat of your pants and painting yourself right into a corner.
Take New York Times bestselling author Caroline Leavitt, for example. She used to be a writer who just kind of followed her pen wherever it went. And what happened? She'd end up with these massive, unwieldy 800-page drafts, and she'd spend an entire year just trying to find the actual story hidden inside them. But once she started applying foundational structure, she literally cut her 9th novel exactly in half, just like that. It went down to 400 pages, she sold it immediately, and she hit the bestseller list. So remember, structure absolutely doesn't stifle your creativity. It focuses it.
Moving on to Section 2, story versus situation, laying the foundation. Because here's the thing, a great idea doesn't automatically mean you have a great story. So, when that amazing inspiration strikes, you really have to stop and ask yourself a critical question. Do I actually have a story here or just a situation? Are you mapping out a genuine, evolving narrative, or have you just trapped your character in a static predicament? Figuring out the distinction between those two things is absolutely everything.
To put it simply, a situation is really just testing problem-solving skills without any real emotional change. If your idea is just about a character figuring out a direct, obvious solution to a puzzle, and they end the book in the exact same emotional headspace they started in, well, you have a situation. A true story, on the other hand, requires this dynamic push and pull interdependence between the external plot and the internal character growth. A story is essentially a metaphor for a journey that leads to change. Your character has to evolve.
Okay, Section 3, Anatomy of a Premise, Framing Your Idea. Now that we know we need a story, let's look at what experts call the canary in the coal mine.
This canary is your premise line. It's basically an early warning system to test if your core structure actually works. You can map this out using 4 very specific steps. Step 1, when some event sparks action and provokes your protagonist. Step 2, character acts. They move with a deliberate purpose and a tangible desire. Step 3, until they are met by this fierce external force that just generates pure chaos. And finally, Step 4, leading to, this is the ultimate conclusion and evolutionary change.
It is so cool to see this in action. Look at how perfectly Peter Benchley's classic Jaws fits into this exact 4-part formula. When a fearful cop moves to a tourist town, he acts by teaming up with an oceanographer to close the beaches until the shark strikes and terrorizes everyone, leading to the cop being forced to face his ultimate fear man-to-man. See that? Boom! One single sentence, but it holds the entire structural weight of the story.
That brings us to Section 4. Character wants and needs, the interior architecture. So the external plot is framed, but now we have to design the internal progression. The plot is what happens, but the character's arc is why it actually matters to the reader.
Let's look at the Wants and Needs Bible by tracing Nick Carraway's journey in The Great Gatsby. We can map his evolution step by step. First, he starts with a very tangible want. He desires money and status. Second, this want is totally fueled by a misconception that money automatically equals happiness. Third, he takes action by entering Gatsby's wealthy world. But then, step 4 hits, the "we're all doomed" moment. Gatsby is murdered, and Nick sees that his wealthy girlfriend is actually entirely superficial. This forces step 5, his realization. He got exactly what he wanted, but he realizes it's definitely not what he needs. Finally, step 6, starting fresh. He literally walks away from it all.
Now, if you want to amplify the tension during that internal journey, you can force your character into 2 impossible moral choices. You want to create this massive, oh my god moment for the reader, and you do that by making sure both options are absolutely terrible. Think about William Styron's Sophie's Choice. The protagonist is literally forced by a guard to choose which of her own children goes to the gas chamber, otherwise they both die. It's an agonizing, utterly impossible choice. But man, does it instantly deepen the character and completely hook the reader, because they can't help but ask themselves, what on earth would I do?
Adding another layer to that complexity is the moral blind spot. This is an internal flaw that the character is completely oblivious to. We're not just talking about a quirky habit here. This usually stems from a deep, unresolved trauma or misconception. The character honestly believes this behavior is keeping them safe or helping them survive, when in reality, it's actually destroying them from the inside out.
So how do you use this? By continually throwing your character into situations that stress test this blind spot. You want to force a crisis that breaks them down completely, so they are finally forced to change. Let's say you have a character who learned early in life that alcohol numbs their emotional pain. They rely on it. It's their coping mechanism. So you throw them into a massive, high-stakes test, like a vicious custody battle. Their blind spot kicks into overdrive, they drink just to calm their nerves, and they end up showing up to court completely drunk. Boom. The we're all doomed moment hits, and they lose custody. It's devastating, right? But that exact crisis is the only thing that creates the opportunity for true, lasting change, like finally hitting rock bottom and getting sober.
All right, Section 5. Testing your blueprint, the final polish before Chapter 1. You have your plot, you have your character's internal journey, now it is time for the final inspection before you start drafting.
As you're writing and refining your synopsis, you need to constantly inject new reveals and reversals to raise those stakes. A reveal is just new information coming to light, while a reversal totally flips the reader's expectations. So, say your partner leaves you at the altar. That's pretty bad, right? But a reversal makes it worse. They run off with your mom. Oh, wow. Okay, that's terrible. Let's make it even worse. They get in a car crash on the way. Only your mom survives, and now you have to take care of her. See what we're doing? You are constantly turning the screws and making things worse for the protagonist. And remember, when they finally do learn their ultimate lesson at the end, make sure it comes with a heavy cost. Meaningful growth is never free.
And hey, keep this number in mind. 1. Unit testing just one single, strongly structured premise sentence with objective readers can literally save you from 400 pages of agonizing rewrites. And by objective readers, I don't mean your mom, unless she happens to be a professional editor. I mean people who really understand storytelling. If they can look at that one sentence, see the entire story arc, and genuinely get excited about it, that's your green light. So as you sit down to start crafting your roadmap, I want to leave you with this one final thought to chew on. What is the central, universal question that your story is uniquely built to answer? Because your very first chapter has to ask this question, and your final chapter must answer it. Figure that out, build your structural blueprint around it, and I promise you, you will never get lost in the narrative woods again. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy writing.